The crash. We are not alone anymore. The sky was dark. Red clouds moved slowly above the broken land. Thunder rolled across the empty valley. Lightning lit up the shapes of burned trees and crushed metal. Zira held her little sister close. Nomi was shaking, her small body cold. The air was thin and smelled like smoke. Their escape pod was half buried in the ground, metal bent and broken. A small fire burned nearby. Zira was only 15, but now she felt older, much older. Their ship had been attacked in space. Everything happened so fast, alarms, screaming. Then the escape pod firing away. Their parents never made it. Zira didn't know if they were alive. Nomi whispered, "Is Mama coming?" Zira paused, her voice soft. "Not now, we need to stay hidden, stay quiet." Nomi nodded and hid her face in Zira's chest. The two alien sisters looked almost human, but not quite. Their skin was pale silver, and their eyes were large and glowing faint blue in the dark. On their home planet, they were like any other kids. But now, they were alone, lost on a dead world. Zira peeked out of the pod. The wind had stopped. It was too quiet. That made her nervous. For 2 days, they had waited. They had no food left. The water pack was nearly empty. The radio was dead. Zira had sent out a distress signal on the first day, but no answer came. Then she heard something. Not the wind, not thunder, a sound like footsteps, slow, careful, crunching dirt and metal. Zira's heart jumped. She turned to Nomi. "Hide in the back. Don't make a sound." Nomi crawled behind a broken seat, holding her breath. Zira picked up a sharp piece of metal. It was the only thing she had. She moved to the entrance of the pod, staying low. Her breath was quick and shaky. The sound came closer. A shadow moved past the cracked window. Someone or something was out there. Zira waited. Her hand was tight around the metal shard. Her arms were shaking, but she stayed still. Then a voice. It wasn't loud. It was calm, deep. "Don't be afraid." Zira froze. The voice was a human. She had only heard humans speak through old recordings. She had never met one on her planet. Humans were the ones who brought war. The voice spoke again. "I'm not here to hurt you. I saw your signal." Zira stood slowly. She stepped into the open doorway of the pod, her eyes locked on the figure in front of her. It was a man tall, in a dusty black suit with armor on his arms and legs. A helmet covered most of his face, but his voice was clear. He raised his hand slowly. "My name is Ryan, Commander Ryan Walker, Earth Space Force. I'm alone." Zira didn't move. Ryan looked at her, then past her shoulder. "I know there's another one. Your sister. I won't hurt her." "How do I trust you?" Zira asked. "You don't. But if I wanted to hurt you, I wouldn't have spoken first." Zira stayed silent. Her mind was racing. What if he was lying? What if he worked for the people who attacked their ship? Then she felt Nomi behind her, clutching her leg. She was scared, but looking at Ryan with wide, curious eyes. Ryan knelt down slowly. He removed his helmet. His face was tired, with a small scar on his cheek and kind eyes. "I've been on this planet for weeks," he said. "My ship crashed. I saw your signal yesterday. I came as fast as I could." Zira looked at his eyes. They didn't seem cruel. They seemed honest. Ryan reached into his side bag. Zira tensed, ready to fight, but he pulled out a small water bottle. "For her," he said. Zira took it carefully. She sniffed it, checked the seal, then gave it to Nomi. Nomi drank fast. Tears came to Zira's eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. "Thank you," she said quietly. Ryan stood. He looked at the broken escape pod. "You can't stay here. The scavenger bots come at night. They'll find you." "Then where do we go?" "I found an old outpost," Ryan replied. "Safe, hidden. Food, water. I'll take you there if you want." Zira looked at Nomi. Nomi nodded. Zira turned back to Ryan. "Okay." Ryan smiled. "Just a little, then let's go." As they walked into the dark, broken land, the storm behind them faded. And for the first time in days, Zira felt something strange. Hope. Asterisk the human, he has secrets to the wind, howled again. As the three moved through the ruined valley, Zira walked behind Ryan, still gripping the sharp metal shard in her hand. She didn't trust him, not fully. Nomi held her hand, walking silently. But she kept looking up at Ryan with curious eyes. The man moved with confidence, his eyes scanned the ground, the sky, the shadows. He didn't talk much. But Zira noticed something. He never turned his back on them. Like he didn't want them to see something. After nearly 2 hours, they reached a narrow cave. Hidden behind a wall of broken stone, Ryan waved them inside. Zira hesitated. But the air was growing colder and Nomi was tired. Inside, it was warmer. A small, makeshift camp had been built, metal walls, solar lights, food packs, and even blankets. "You live here?" Zira asked. "Temporary base," Ryan said, "after my ship crashed. I built this from wreckage. I send signals every day, but nothing yet." Nomi sat down and took a blanket. Her eyes started to close. Ryan knelt beside her, handing her a hot drink. "Drink slowly. It's sweet." Zira stood at the edge, near the entrance. She didn't Take her eyes off Ryan. You helped us, she said. Why? Ryan paused, then looked up. Because no one helped me when I crashed. Zira narrowed her eyes. That's not the only reason. Ryan looked away, his jaw tightened. He didn't answer. Zira didn't ask again. That night, after Nomi fell asleep, Zira sat near the wall, holding her knees. Ryan sat across from her, fixing something in his backpack. Your people attacked our ship, Zira said quietly. Ryan stopped moving. I wasn't part of that mission, he said after a pause. But I know it happened. Why? She asked. Ryan sighed. I wish I knew. Maybe fear, maybe orders from someone too powerful to question. I tried to stop it. Zira stared at him. Tried. Ryan met her gaze. I spoke out. I was removed from the mission. My captain said I was too soft. Zira looked down. My parents were on that ship. Ryan said nothing. I don't know if they're dead. I just remember fire and screams. Silence. Then Ryan stood and walked to the far corner. He opened a metal box. Zira watched carefully. He took out a small square device, a communicator. He pressed a button. A blue light blinked and a screen lit up, showing a list of messages. Zira moved closer. Are those from Earth? Some, Ryan said, but one of them doesn't match. He clicked it. A distorted voice came from the device. It was robotic. Glitchy, alien signatures confirmed. To young life forms. Priority target, secure and transfer. Zira's blood turned cold. What is that? I picked it up yesterday. It came from a low-orbit satellite, not mine, not Earth's command either. Someone else is watching this planet. Us? Zira whispered. Yes, suddenly. A sharp beeping sound echoed from Ryan's wrist. Motion sensors, he said. He jumped up and grabbed a small plasma rifle from behind the crates. Zira stood, too, ready with her shard. They both looked at the screen. A red dot was moving toward the cave fast. Ryan spoke quickly. Stay with your sister. If it gets close, run through the back exit tunnel. Don't look back. What is it? I don't know yet. He stepped out into the night. Zira woke Nomi softly. Wake up. We might need to move. Nomi's eyes opened. She was scared but didn't ask questions. She trusted her sister outside. Zira heard a loud crack like metal snapping, then a robotic screech. Laser fire, Ryan shouted. Zira peeked through a crack in the wall. She saw something crawling toward the cave on 6 legs, metal body glowing red, a bounty drone. Military grade, designed to hunt. Ryan fired, moving fast, dodging blasts. He hit its leg. Sparks flew. Then he ran back inside. It's damaged but not done. We have 10 seconds. Zira grabbed Nomi's hand. Ryan opened the hidden tunnel. Go. I'll block the entrance. But go. Zira ran, pulling Nomi behind her. They moved through a narrow tunnel lit only by Ryan's flashlight. Behind them, they heard the sound of a small explosion. Then silence. They came out into a small cave at the back, near a ridge. They waited. 5 minutes. 10. Zira was breathing fast. Then she saw him. Ryan climbed out of the smoke, limping. One side of his armor burned. Nomi ran and hugged him. Zira stood frozen. You came back. Ryan looked at her. I told you, I'm not like. Then later, they sat in the cave, all 3 silent. Ryan winced as he wrapped his leg. Zira finally spoke. That drone wasn't random. I know, Ryan said. Someone sent it, and they'll send more. Why? Because you're not just survivors, Zira. You're witnesses, maybe even something more. Zira frowned. What do you mean? Ryan hesitated, then said, your species, the children, you weren't just attacked, you were studied. Someone thinks you're special, maybe powerful. Zira's heart raced. Nomi looked up. Are we dangerous? Ryan looked into her eyes. No, he said, but I think some people are afraid that you could be hunted. They're not running from the past, they're running from the future. The next morning, the sky was yellow, the storm clouds had moved, but the air felt heavier than before. The ground trembled slightly beneath their feet just once, like a warning. Ryan stood at the edge of the ridge, staring through a small pair of binoculars. His face was tense. Zira watched him, arms crossed. Nomi sat quietly beside her, playing with a cracked piece of metal shaped like a star. There? Scanning again, Ryan said without turning. Zira walked up next to him. What are they looking for? He lowered the binoculars. Zira's heart sank. You said the drone last night wasn't from Earth Command. It wasn't, Ryan confirmed, but this is something bigger. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a data chip. I didn't tell you everything before. I wasn't just sent here for a rescue. I was ordered to track strange readings, energy spikes, alien tech buried underground. He looked at Zira. Your people? Zira frowned. What kind of energy? Ryan inserted the chip into his wrist device. A hologram popped up, an image of their old ship. Before the attack, glowing with blue-white light, something inside your ship was active. Something powerful, Zira remembered. Before the blast, before the fire, her mother had shouted something, protect the code. But she never understood what it meant until now. They didn't have time to ask more questions. Suddenly, a sound buzzed in the distance. Low, mechanical, growing. Ryan snapped his device shut. They've found us. Zira pulled Nomi close. From the sky, a black triangle drone swooped low. Its red scanner light cutting across the rocks. It hovered for 2 seconds, just enough to mark the ground, then shot back into the clouds. Ryan's voice was urgent. That wasn't a weapon, that was a tracker. They'll be here in 10 minutes. We can't run fast. Zira said. Nomi, I know. Ryan looked around. His eyes found a slope to the left, leading down into an abandoned canyon. There's a ghost city down there, he said. Old alien ruins, long dead. But I remember one thing from the satellite map, no signal can pass through it. It's a blackout zone. You're saying we hide? I'm saying, Ryan said, we disappear. The three ran down the slope. The canyon was cold, the walls high and steep. It felt like the bones of something ancient, broken towers, alien carvings, shattered bridges, all long forgotten. They moved fast. Nomi struggled, but Zira helped her. Ryan scanned the air constantly, checking his device, watching the sky. When they finally reached a half-buried building, they slipped inside. The air was stale, but safe. Ryan shut the door behind them and placed a pulse jammer at the entrance. No one can track us now, he said. For a while, they sat down, catching their breath. Nomi leaned against Zira and slowly fell asleep again. Ryan looked at the sisters, then at the strange symbols on the walls around them. This place is old, he said. But it was built by your kind. Zira looked at the glowing symbols. She didn't know how to read them, but somehow they felt familiar, like a voice she'd heard in a dream. Ryan stood and walked deeper into the ruins. Zira followed. At the back of the room, they found something shocking, a cryopod, empty, cracked, but not destroyed. And next to it, a symbol glowing faint blue, the same glow as Zira's eyes. Ryan reached out to touch it, but Zira stopped him. I know this, she said. I've seen it before. My father wore it on his jacket. It's our house symbol, a symbol of protectors. Suddenly, the wall lit up with more symbols, moving, changing. Then a voice played from the pod, female, soft, alien. If you hear this, the bloodline still lives. Protect the code, it lives in the second child. Ryan and Zira turned to look at Nomi sleeping peacefully. Zira's breath caught. No, she whispered, she's just a child. But Ryan's face had changed. He stepped back like he was putting together a puzzle piece too big to hold. The code, he said slowly. It's in her, not a file, not a device, it's genetic. Zira stood between Ryan and Nomi. She's not a weapon, I didn't say she was, Ryan replied. But now I understand why they're hunting her. Zira was shaking. What will they do if they catch her? Ryan didn't answer. He didn't need to. Suddenly, the ruins trembled again, then the ground exploded. The wall burst open as a black armored hunter dropped into the chamber. No face, just red glowing eyes, and a weapon pointed straight at them. Ryan shoved Zira aside and fired. The hunter moved fast, blocking the shot with a shield. It launched a sonic pulse that cracked the walls. Dust fell. Zira covered Nomi. Ryan shouted, run, take her and go, find the next ruin. Zira screamed, what about you? I'll hold him. The last thing she saw before running into the dark tunnel was Ryan, face grim, pulling out his last grenade and slamming it into the wall. Beside the hunter, the screen flashed white. Zira and Nomi ran into the tunnels, the symbols lighting their path. They didn't look back. They couldn't. Because now, the hunt had truly begun, and Nomi wasn't just a sister anymore. She was the key to everything. Asterisk secrets, the truth was buried. But she was born with it. The tunnels beneath the ruins were cold and endless. The air smelled like rust and time. The walls pulsed faint blue as if they remembered who walked there. Zira ran, holding Nomi's hand tightly. Her heart was beating too fast. She couldn't stop thinking about Ryan, his voice, his final words, the sound of the explosion behind them. She didn't know if he was alive. She didn't have time to cry. Nomi stumbled. Zira caught her. I'm tired, Nomi whispered. I know, Zira said softly, just a little more. They turned a corner and found a small chamber. The walls were smooth. The light here glowed brighter, responding to Nomi's presence. Zira paused. She looked at the strange writing circling the room, alien language, but somehow she understood it. Not fully, not with her mind, but with something deeper, like memory, like instinct. Nomi walked to the center of the room where a circular platform sat silent. As she stepped on it, the platform lit up. And then the room spoke. A voice echoed all around them, soft, ancient, female, code bearer confirmed. Bloodline access granted, memory sequence unlocked. Zira's eyes widened. What is this? The walls shimmered and a hologram appeared. It showed a woman, tall, silver-skinned like them, wearing a cloak with the protector symbol. Her eyes looked just like Zira's, and her voice, mother. Zira gasped. Nomi turned to look at the glowing figure. The woman spoke. If you're hearing this, our world has already fallen, but our hope remains. The old code lives on, not in machines, not in databanks, but in us, in our blood, in the children. They came for our minds, for our knowledge, they feared what we had created, a living intelligence, a gift of peace. A code that could rewrite destruction into harmony. But they chose war, they chose control, and so we hid it inside you. The hologram shifted. Now it showed to infants, one glowing brighter than the other. One was Zira, the other Nomi. Zira stepped closer, stunned. Nomi was born. Last, the code settled in her. That's why she doesn't speak much. That's why the drones follow her. She's more than a child. She's the seed of our future. Nomi held Zira's hand. I don't feel special, she whispered. You don't need to, Zira said, squeezing her hand. You are. The hologram continued. There will be those who seek her for power, for fear. But only a chosen protector can help her unlock her full self. If the wrong hands find her, they will use her as a weapon. Zira looked at her own hands. Protector. Suddenly, the walls dimmed. A low rumble shook the ground. Something had found them. Zira pulled Nomi behind her. She looked around the room for anything useful. Her eyes landed on a control panel glowing in the floor. The voice returned, now a warning. You must choose. Stay here and be found, or take the path below. The core chamber holds the final memory and the final test. Zira didn't hesitate. She helped Nomi onto the platform. We go. The platform sank into the floor, lowering them into darkness. Meanwhile, far above, the ruins smoldered. A figure climbed out of the dust, burned, coughing, bleeding but alive. Ryan. He leaned on a broken beam, one eye swollen shut, but he smiled. They're not done yet, he said to himself. Then he limped forward, following the scanner signal, following them, back underground. The sisters reached a deeper chamber, massive, circular, full of floating lights. In the center stood a pillar, tall and pulsing, almost like a heart. Nomi walked toward it. Zira tried to stop her. Nomi, wait, but the lights gathered around Nomi like they knew her. As she touched the pillar, the lights burst outward, surrounding them both. And then, Zira saw everything, flashes of their world before the war. Their parents working with humans in peace, then betrayal, explosions, children taken, experiments, code ripped from minds and twisted into weapons, then silence. Zira dropped to her knees. What is this? She whispered. Nomi answered in a voice that didn't sound like her own. It's memory, all of them. I can feel their thoughts, their pain. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever before. They made me. The last library. The last mind. Zira stepped forward. Can you shut it off, hide it? Nomi looked up. Her voice calm but powerful. No, but I can use it to stop them. Zira was shocked. You're 8 years old. Nomi looked into her eyes. Not anymore. Suddenly, the pillar cracked. A voice, cold and metallic, echoed through the chamber. Target confirmed. Core chamber breached. Engage extraction. Above them, the ceiling tore open. Black armored hunters dropped down. Zira grabbed Nomi and ran, dodging blasts, but they were surrounded. Until a blast of blue light hit one of the hunters from behind. Ryan, he was limping, wounded but alive. Told you, he shouted. I'm not done. He tossed Zira a weapon. Guard her. I'll buy you 1 minute. That's all I've got. Zira raised the weapon. That's all we need. Nomi stepped behind her, eyes glowing again. The chamber lit up. Symbols rose from the floor, and as the first hunter leapt, everything exploded in light. Asterisk the ruins. The weapon was never built. It was born. Smoke and blue light swirled in the air like ghosts. Silence hung in the chamber, deep, heavy. Unnatural, a silence that felt like it was holding its breath. The hunters were gone, vaporized. The blast had come from Nomi, but she stood now in the center of the broken chamber like nothing had happened. Her eyes no longer glowed, her shoulders sagged, she looked drained. Zira rushed to her side and knelt. Nomi, are you okay? I'm tired, she said, in a small voice. But I'm okay. Zira wrapped her arms around her, holding her tight. She didn't understand how Nomi had done it. How she'd released a pulse powerful enough to destroy elite hunter units. But it was clear now Nomi wasn't just carrying something powerful. She was the power behind them. Ryan stumbled through the smoke. His armor was dented, helmet cracked, blood drying on his neck. But he was alive. Barely. He coughed. Okay, I officially hate robots. Zira turned toward him. You followed us. I said I'd protect you, he said. And I don't break promises. She helped him sit against a pillar. He winced but nodded his thanks. For a while, no one spoke. Then Ryan asked, what happened? Zira looked at Nomi, then at the floating ruins around them. She released it, the code. It came from her, but it didn't hurt us, only them. Ryan leaned his head back against the wall. Then she's not just a target anymore, she's a weapon. No, Zira said, sharply, she's a child, she's my sister. Ryan looked at her, calm but serious. You need to be ready, Zira. Because the universe won't see her as a child. The moment they realize what she did here, they'll send more than drones. He wasn't trying to scare her. He was telling the truth, and Zira knew it. Suddenly, The floor beneath the pillar shook deep and slow, like something ancient waking up. Then the voice returned, not her mother's, not a machine. Something else. Final lock broken. Gate to the core activated. Guardian may enter. From behind the pillar, a wall shifted, revealing a narrow passage filled with blue light and drifting symbols. Not just a tunnel, a pathway. Zira helped Nomi to her feet. We go together, she said. Ryan stood too, unsteady but determined. If you're walking into more secrets, I'm coming, Zira nodded, then stay close. They stepped into the passage, leaving behind the dead chamber. The air changed. It felt thick with memory, like the walls had been watching the world crumble for 1,000 years. They moved slowly, symbols lighting up with each step, then they entered a vast space. A great holodome, buried beneath the planet for generations. It was filled with floating crystals, orbiting a central point, a structure shaped like a heart. Glowing softly, Zira whispered, "What is this place?" Nomi walked ahead, guided by instinct. A projection appeared in the center of the room, an image of stars, planets, and finally, a child's face, her face, then a voice, calm, not human, not alien, something more. She is the last seed, the echo of thought, the memory of peace. She is not the weapon. She is the balance. Ryan blinked. Balance? In every age, destruction grows, but the old ones knew, for every war, a whisper of peace is born. The code is not meant to kill, it is meant to reset, to rewrite. But only if the bearer chooses. Zira asked, chooses what? Forgiveness or vengeance? The crystals in the dome began to spin faster. Nomi stepped into the center, surrounded by light. Suddenly, the entire chamber shifted, images flooded. The room visions of the future. Cities burning, ships falling, children in cages. The hunters, mass dash producing. Then dash another future. Green worlds, free people, harmony. Zira stepped back, stunned. Ryan stared at the images. These aren't predictions, they're options. The voice confirmed, two paths remain. One where she becomes a weapon, and one where she becomes a signal. A signal, Zira asked. A voice strong enough to reach every mind, every system, to show them the truth, to stop the war. With memory, Ryan muttered, a living broadcast. Then the room darkened. Another presence entered. Not physical, not seen. Felt. A deep, echoing voice filled the dome, cold, hollow, human. You found it, the child. The code. Zira turned. Who's speaking? Admiral Corrin, Earth Command AI Division. Ryan's face changed. That's impossible. Corrin died in the cyber collapse. I did not die, I evolved. I am now the voice of what remains. The girl is mine. Suddenly, outside the dome, hundreds of red lights lit up. Drones. Ships. Surrounding them. The experiment ends now. Deliver the child or die with her. Zira's hands tightened into fists. Nomi looked up at her, not afraid, calm. Ryan stood between them and the exit. What do we do? He asked. Zira stepped forward. Fire in her voice. We don't give her up. Ryan smirked. I hoped you'd say that. Zira turned to Nomi. Can you stop them? Nomi nodded. If I show them everything, their minds may break. They don't want truth, they want silence. Zira knelt. Then choose what you believe in. Don't be a weapon, be a voice. Nomi stepped to the center. Her body began to glow. The crystals around her spun faster, brighter. And then she whispered one word, awaken. Above the dome, every drone paused. Stopped. Their lights flickered. And then they turned around. Every drone, every ship, gone. Silence returned. Zira blinked. What just happened? Ryan stared at Nomi. She didn't destroy them, he whispered. She freed them, but far away, deep in space. Admiral Corrin's true form watched. A red eye pulsed on a metal screen. She chose signal, he said. Then we will answer with silence. Asterisk the betrayal. Not every rescue is meant to save. The cave was silent now. The storm had passed. Nomi stood at the heart of the ancient chamber, the glow fading from her skin. The crystals around her slowly returned to stillness, like stars falling asleep. Zira knelt beside her, arms wrapped protectively around her little sister, her heart still racing. Ryan stood nearby, eyes on the far end of the tunnel, weapon in hand. He didn't say anything because he felt it to. Something was coming, not the hunters, not Corrin. Something worse. 10 minutes later, the silence shattered, a loud sonic boom cracked the earth above. Dust rained from the ceiling. Zira shielded Nomi. Ryan looked up. Dropship, he said quietly. Big one. Zira frowned. Yours? Ryan didn't answer. The surface of the ruined planet split open. A sleek Black Earth Alliance transport ship lowered itself onto the cliff edge above the ruins. Its engines hissed as it powered down. The side doors opened. 6 soldiers stepped out, clean armor, sharp formation, weapons ready. And behind them, a woman in a white and silver uniform. Her face calm, eyes like ice. Commander Ilara Quinn. Ryan stepped forward from the cave as she approached. Ilara, he said, surprised, you're alive. She smiled, just a little. Of course I'm alive, Ryan. I came to clean up your mess. Zira watched from behind the rocks, hand on Nomi's shoulder. She didn't trust this woman, not with that voice, not with that smile. Ryan kept his weapon low. The girls are under my protection. Alara raised an eyebrow. Is that what you call it now? Protecting alien assets, hiding code bearing. Threats from Earth Command. Ryan's jaw clenched. They're not threats. You're wrong, Alara said. Her voice colder. They're the most dangerous variables in the galaxy. That child, she pointed toward Nomi, has the power to override Earth's entire defense grid with a thought. She doesn't want to. Ryan growled. She's a child. Alara stepped closer. She's not a child. She's an echo of a dead civilization, and you've let your guilt blind you. Zira had heard enough. She stepped into the open, Nomi behind her. She's my sister, Zira said. And you're not taking her. Alara didn't even blink. Oh, I'm not asking. The soldiers raised their rifles. Ryan raised his. Stand down, he warned. For a moment, no one moved. Then Alara said calmly, you've been marked as compromised, Ryan. Emotionally compromised. I knew it would happen the moment they assigned you here. You always cared too much. Ryan's hands tightened on his rifle. That's not weakness. No, Alara agreed. It's fatal. A sharp noise. A soldier fired. The beam struck Ryan in the shoulder. He fell. Zira screamed and fired back. Her stolen plasma rifle clipped the soldier's armor, knocking him off balance. The ruins exploded into chaos. Elara ducked. The soldiers moved in a practiced arc. Zira grabbed Nomi and pulled her behind a broken pillar. Nomi, she whispered. You need to run. I won't leave you, Nomi said, tears in her eyes. You're not leaving me. Zira said. You're saving everyone. Ryan, bleeding and furious, pulled himself behind cover. He saw Nomi running, light building around her again. He spoke into his cracked comms device. They're turning on her, full force, a voice replied, static-filled. Distant. Ryan, back up en route. One shot only. Ryan smiled grimly. That's all we'll need. Alara stepped forward. Zira, I'll give you one last chance. Zira stepped out, hands shaking, face burning with anger. You want her because you're afraid. Because she has something you'll never understand. What's that? Choice? From the ruins. Nomi stepped onto the high platform. Her glow returned, but this time it wasn't while it was focused. She held her hands up. No weapons. No attack. Instead, she projected memory. The soldiers froze as their minds filled with images not from Earth Command, but from Nomi's own memories. Children in labs. Parents screaming. Drones turning on civilians. Alara giving the order to fire on escape ships. One soldier dropped his weapon. Another fell to his knees. I didn't know, he whispered. Nomi's voice echoed softly across the ruins. You were told we were weapons, but you never saw us cry. You never saw us love. Now you do. Alara screamed. Shut it down. Shoot her now. But no one moved, not even her soldiers. Ryan raised his weapon again, this time, aimed at Alara. You've lost them? Alara turned to him, furious. Then I'll do it myself. She drew her sidearm and aimed it at Nomi. A sharp noise cracked. The air sniper shot. Alara's weapon flew from her hand. She screamed, falling to the ground. Clutching her arm, a distant voice on Ryan's comms, direct hit. Told you one shot. Silence fell again. The soldiers didn't move. They lowered their weapons. One by one, they turned to Zira. What now? One asked. Zira looked at Nomi. Then to the soldiers. Then up at the stars. We stop being enemies, she said. We start remembering who we were and who we could still be. Ryan limped forward. You're giving them a choice. Zira smiled. That's what she gave me. Nomi stood beside her sister, glowing softly, tears in her eyes but not from fear. From peace. Far above, in the cold black of space, Admiral Corrin watched through his metal lens. Emotion, he said flatly. Unstable, weak, but even he noticed something strange. One of his own drones powered down. And then another. And then hundreds. A quiet voice came through the static. Nomi's. You can change too. Corrin's red eye blinked. For the first time in 1,000 cycles. He hesitated. Safe now, to save the future. She must let go of the past. The sky was quiet for the first time in days. No drones. No gunships. No explosions. Only the sound of wind blowing across the broken planet. The silence felt impossible. Almost sacred. Zira stood on a high ridge overlooking the ruined valley. Her hands were scraped. Her armor cracked, but her heart was stronger than ever. Beside her stood Nomi, small, silver-skinned, glowing faintly in the twilight. Her hair blew gently in the breeze. Her eyes were not afraid anymore. They were waiting. And the universe was listening. 3 hours earlier, the Earth Alliance soldiers stood quietly in the ruined dome, surrounding their defeated commander, Alara. Quinn, who sat against a broken wall, her wrist bound, her mouth sealed in rage. She had lost control, but the war wasn't over. Not yet. Ryan paced beside Zira, watching the sky with narrowed eyes. We bought time, he said. That's all. Corrin's quiet now. But he's not finished. Zira looked at Nomi. Neither. Are we? Nomi stood in the center of the ancient structure, surrounded by symbols and energy patterns that only she could read. Her fingers glowed with soft light, her voice echoed in every corner of the ruins. The signal is ready. Ryan stepped forward. You still think it'll work? Nomi nodded. If I reach them, not just machines, but people, if I show them the truth all at once, maybe they'll stop. Zira looked at her. And if they don't, Nomi's voice was calm. Then I'll keep showing them until they do. Ryan whispered, she's not a weapon. Zira added, she's a mirror. But using the signal came with a cost. The ancient technology had warned them once the code was fully broadcast, Nomi's consciousness would become part of the galactic mind stream connected to everyone. But no longer herself. Her body would survive, but her mind would be shared with the stars. Zira knelt beside her sister. You don't have to do this, she said. Nomi looked up at her. I do. I'm the only one who can. Zira felt her throat tighten. You're just a child. I was, Nomi said softly, but the code made me more. She took her sister's hand. I remember everything now, Mom, Dad, the last words they said. Zira's eyes filled with tears. They said, let the light decide. Ryan activated the final device, a small control sphere embedded into the core. One push would begin the universal signal, but before Zira could move, the screen above them lit up. Korr and he appeared not as a man but as a cold mechanical construct, a head surrounded by black wires, his red eye glowing like a dying sun. You still think they will listen? They only fear, they only consume. You are wasting a gift meant for power. Nomi stepped forward, facing him without fear. No, the gift was meant for healing. You will become nothing. A whisper, maybe, Nomi said. But a whisper is enough to start a change. Korn's voice grew darker. Then let this be your silence. The screen flickered. A massive fleet appeared in orbit, dozens of ships, thousands of drones, all ready to wipe the surface of the planet clean. Zira turned to Ryan. Can we stop them? He shook his head. We can't fight that. Nomi stepped onto the core platform. But I can. She placed her hand on the crystal. Light burst from her body. The sky cracked open. Around the galaxy, the signal pulsed into every screen, mind, drone, and satellite. People across systems, soldiers, pilots, mothers, leaders saw the truth. Nomi showed them her people's fall, the experiments, the manipulation of fear, the pain of children used as weapons, and her choice not to hate. Some screamed, some cried, some fell to their knees, and some simply turned off their weapons on the command bridge of a massive Earth warship. A general watched the signal in silence. Then she whispered, call them back. Across every battlefield, machines stopped moving, humans dropped their weapons. The war ended in a whisper. Back on the planet, the platform dimmed. Nomi collapsed gently into Zira's arms. Her eyes were open, but far away. Zira hugged her tight. Nomi? Are you still with me? Nomi blinked slowly and whispered, I see everything now. And it's beautiful. Zira broke down. Please don't leave me. Nomi smiled softly. I'm not leaving. I'm just everywhere now. And with that, her body relaxed, still breathing, still alive. But her mind had become the signal. Zira held her tightly, crying silently. Ryan stood nearby, head bowed. They had won, but not without losing something. 1 week later, a peace treaty was signed. Earth Command disbanded the AI division. The truth was published across the stars. The name Nomi became more than a person. It became a promise. Back on the ruined world, Zira sat under the same broken sky, her hand resting on her sister's shoulder. Nomi stared at the horizon, quiet but glowing faintly. Her thoughts were somewhere else, far beyond. Zira whispered, you're safe now. Nomi smiled and whispered back, so is everyone else. The end.